Hi, and welcome to the Basic Video Maker channel, where we focus on the needs of the one-person studio. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I add background music to the audio of a tutorial video that I am making right now. We're starting with the audio from that video imported into Audacity. I exported the audio from Camtasia to its own separate WAV file, and that WAV file is now imported into Audacity, and that's what we're looking at right here. And I want to add background music to that, so I'm going to go over to my repository of background music, which is right here, and I see I have already selected David Mumford's Mockingbird as an instrumental that I got from the freemusicarchive.org. And I'm going to put an attribution for that down in the description for this video. I'm going to drag that tune over into Audacity, and there it is. Now, the one thing we want to do with background music is to make sure it is background music. That means it does not overwhelm the narration. If I put the cursor right there and I hit the space bar to play, this great big thing right here, you can hear that the background music is far too loud. It just totally overwhelms the narration. I'm going to press my F5 key, and that selects the time shift tool, and I'm going to drag this all the way to the end. Now, I do not want the end of the video to have silence after the music. Let me do the selector tool. Going to put the selector right here near the end, and I've got my keyboard set up with shortcuts so I can do Control plus and zoom in, which is the equivalent of clicking this zoom in button here. Now I can click here and listen, and I hear the music is going to die out right there. So I'm going to click that and click and drag to there. I'm going to hit the delete key, and now I'm going to hit F5 and time shift over there, and that will be the end of the audio right at the end of the video. Now, the next thing I want to do is make sure the audio is not too loud for the balance of the narration. In other words, when the narration quits and the audio takes over, we do not want the audio to be twice as loud. So let me press Control F. It would be Command F on a Mac, and that puts the longest audio track to fit in the timeline. All right, now I'm going to press F1 to get the selection tool. So what I want to do, let me move this timeline over so I can see it a little bit better. I want this loudest portion to be about that big. So we're going to select this entire track by clicking on the head. Alternatively, you can select the entire track by just double clicking on it. And I'm going to do Alt-C, that would be Option-C on a Mac, N to highlight normalize. Now select it. Let's not do -24. Let's just do about -10. I'm going to type in 10 and see what it looks like. That looks about equivalent. I'm going to put my cursor here and hear how the music sounds compared to the volume of the narration. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. This is what I'm listening to, and it doesn't sound to me like the music is overly loud. Okay, so from this point, I'm going to want to reduce the volume as we get a little closer. So let me find where in the narration it is starting the outro. I'm going to mute the music and listen. If you like this video, that's a good one. Let's listen to this right here. You can see the space. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope that is the outro. And this, so the time machine view is something that is the wind up. Okay, right here I'm going to put the cursor and I'm going to do Control or Command B. That adds a marker in a label, B for label, I guess, and I'm going to put outro there and press enter. I'm going to come to this point, and I'm going to do Control B and put wind up, starting to wind it up. And let's hear what's going on right here. And we'll click on that one
And we can see how big that tree is as well.
Still some demo. Okay, so here's what I want. I want the outro to be quieter until right about here, and it's going to get louder. So what I'm going to do to affect that is I am going to use the envelope tool. I'm going to click on that, and let's make the narration track really small and the music track really big. The narration track could be a little bit bigger. There we go. But we do want to see what's going on here. Now, let's go back here and listen to what's going on.
Whenever we post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorial.
Okay, right here on David's Tutorials, I want to diminish the volume of the music so that it is no louder than the music track. We can hear right now, when I press my space bar to play it,
David's Tutorials. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.
That the volume is about equivalent. If we hit Control-Shift-F, it equalizes the audio tracks. You can now do a visual comparison of this volume in the music track to this volume in the narration track. And we can see that they're really pretty equivalent right here. So we don't want the music to be appreciably louder than the narration after the narration quits. What we really want to do is we want to have this section here at the end of the narration swell up to full volume, probably this section here swell up to full volume, and have other sections between the outro and this section here. Let's tell you what, let's do. Let's put a marker here and call it swell. Control B, swell. All right, now we know what's going on. We want it to be a lot quieter between the outro and the swell. We want it to be quieter yet from the wind up to the outro, and from the wind up to the beginning, we want it to just kind of sneak in. Let's do that now. Again, I'm going to make the narration track smaller to give us more room for the audio track, just to see what's going on. Now from the swell, let's hit Control plus or the plus magnifying glass to zoom in, and we want it to swell to full volume from here. So what I'm going to do is press the F2 key or click on the envelope tool. You can see that, and I'm going to create envelopes. We want the swell to start here, so let's go to where the swell completes right here, and I'm going to click, and you notice it put a little circle there, and it put a circle here, and a circle here, and a circle down at the bottom. And basically it gives you 4 circles on each track, and that will allow you to do the gross adjustments and the fine adjustments. Now these circles are keyframes. A keyframe, as you may know, is a point where you start or stop an animation. Next, we want to start the swell here, so I'm going to go ahead and do another click, and there's a keyframe, and I'm going to diminish it. Now the volume is not going to diminish until you visually see, let's get this one, gives us finer control, until you visually see the waveform getting smaller. F1 to go back to cursor mode. Let's set the cursor right here so we can hear what's going on. Press the space bar.
We post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorials. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.
And now it's swelled up to a bigger volume. That's good. And I'll tell you what, I would like another keyframe. Here we go. F2 for the envelope tool. Another keyframe right here. And let's take it down even more. Hit the space bar.
We post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorial.
Is this volume low enough for the outro?
We post another great...
Hit F1 for cursor. Come back here and listen.
Through Google Street View in various places, maybe somewhere that you used to live, and you can see what that plays.
I believe the volume of the background music at this point is quiet enough to not overwhelm the narration, but it's also loud enough that you can hear it's the wind-up. Okay, F2 to get back to the envelope tool. We are at the outro. I'm going to click on the blue bar right here. That creates another one. That's the ending point of the animation that's going to start here at the wind-up. Let's click a starting point circle and make it even smaller. Press F1 for the cursor. Click to set the cursor, spacebar to play.
So it looks like we can get different time machine views from different places.
And is this the volume we want
So
for our
if I click
wind
there,
up
there's
to
2018,
crescendo
and look at how
to the
big that
outro?
tree
Let's
employee
listen.
bird is. So the time machine view is something you can do pretty much anywhere that Google has been taking photos of a particular street view for a long time. I hope you've enjoyed this one.
Okay, I'm going to press F2 to get back to the envelope tool, and I believe this envelope should be a little bit smaller. I'm going to drag it a little bit smaller now. Hit spacebar to play.
So it looks like we can get different time machine views.
That's about exactly what I want. Now let's scroll it over to the left, see if we can see the beginning. We cannot. So I'm going to hit Control minus, which is the equivalent of hitting the minus magnifying point. Now we can see the beginning of the music track. I'm pressing F1 to set to cursor mode, and I'm going to drag. Notice when I put the cursor right on the index line, I get a pointing finger, and if I drag, then it selects that entire area. Okay, we now have the music track selected from the beginning to this point right here. I'm going to use the effects tool, alternate C, or click on the effect menu item, and I'm going to click fade in. This starts it at 0 volume and crescendos up to the volume right there. So if I press the space bar to play, you'll hear there is no music.
Sure. And we have May of
If I
2000.
click here in the middle, you'll be able to barely hear the music.
Oh, we don't want to zoom out that far. We're going to zoom
If I
back
click
in.
here, we're near the end of the long fade in crescendo. We'll hear more music.
And we'll click on that one.
Okay, and let's click here on the wind up. Notice how the cursor turns yellow when you're right over one of the indexes. Now listen to the crescendo from small volume up to medium small volume.
So the time machine view is something you can do pretty much anywhere that Google has been taking photos of a particular street view for a long time. I hope you've enjoyed this one.
Once it gets past outro, that volume will stay the same all the way till we hit the swell to the end. Click there and let's listen to the swell.
Notify you whenever we post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorials. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.
Okay, to me, that sounds very good. The next thing I need to do is I'm just going to close the narration. I'm going to close the label track. I'm going to Control F to get the whole thing on the timeline. I'm going to press F5 to get the mover. I'm going to shift this all the way to the beginning. Notice the yellow line that appears when you hit the beginning. And the final thing I'm going to do is select the track and do export. I do Control Shift E, but people on a Mac, you're going to have to select export, and you can export it as an MP3 file. And once it's there, it'll ask you where you want to put it. And once I have the folder where I want to put it, I'm going to add the background music. I'm going to say it's a Time Machine Audio BG for background music. And it'll be an MP3 file. I hit enter, and all of this other stuff, it really doesn't matter because that's not going to make it into the video. I'm just going to hit OK. And it is saving it. And that's all there is to it. All I have to do now is open up an Explorer or a Finder window, drag it into my video editing program and align it with the end, and I've got background music for the end of my video. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up. If you have a suggestion or a request for a future video, let me know in the comment section below. Other than that, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.